Stop everything and listen, because what's about to hit Britain this week will absolutely shatter every temperature record you thought was impossible. 3 massive high-pressure systems are converging to create the most intense heat wave we've witnessed in over 2 decades across England and Wales. This isn't just another summer warm spell. We're witnessing a complete atmospheric revolution that's about to push temperatures into unprecedented territory. Starting tomorrow morning, continental air masses are delivering heat so intense it's reaching 38 degrees Celsius with humidity that will leave you speechless. But here's what will absolutely blow your mind. This scorching heat is just the opening act for something truly extraordinary building across Europe. By Thursday afternoon, a massive heat dome will unleash temperatures that meteorologists rarely get to forecast in their entire British careers. Picture this: 40 degrees Celsius readings spreading across London, while overnight temperatures refuse to drop below 25 degrees Celsius, creating the ultimate urban heat island. This heat explosion will trigger everything from health warnings to infrastructure stress happening simultaneously across southern England. From Manchester to Brighton, from Birmingham to Bristol, virtually no British resident will escape the reach of this heat revolution. And here's the kicker. The heat intensity we're tracking is so extreme, it's breaking all historical records for sustained high temperatures. I'm talking about 40 degrees Celsius plus readings for 3 consecutive days, creating conditions that will transform daily life across Britain. But first, let me show you what's developing right now. Drop your location in the comments because I'll personally respond with heat safety advice for your area. Our atmospheric setup looks like a furnace that's completely gone into overdrive, creating multiple heat zones across the entire country. As I speak, Southern Europe is already experiencing 45 degrees Celsius temperatures. If you're planning travel, prepare for extreme conditions immediately. London residents, this hits you around noon tomorrow. Cancel outdoor activities because this will overwhelm unprepared people completely. Cambridge and Oxford, you're next in line Tuesday evening. Stock up on cooling supplies because this heat dome could persist for days. Birmingham and Coventry, brace yourselves and adjust your schedules. Temperature readings above 38 degrees Celsius will create dangerous conditions instantly. If you live in urban areas expecting heat island effects, prepare cooling strategies now, because concrete and asphalt will amplify these temperatures. Manchester and Leeds residents, even you won't escape this heat. Northern England could see its highest temperatures in recorded history. Now here's where this story takes a dangerous turn that even veteran meteorologists are calling absolutely unprecedented. While cities bake in record heat, the countryside is experiencing something that defies all logic for British summers. We're tracking overnight temperatures that refuse to drop below 25 degrees Celsius. I'm talking about tropical nights in temperate Britain. Norfolk, Suffolk, and Essex are forecast to experience heat stress levels that have never been recorded in British meteorological history. Canterbury and Maidstone might maintain temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius for over 72 hours, creating life-threatening conditions for vulnerable populations. Brighton and Portsmouth could see coastal heat indices approaching 45 degrees Celsius, while inland areas become completely unbearable. This is the kind of setup that rewrites climate records, and we're witnessing it unfold in real time. Are you seeing how dangerous this is? But here's what computer models discovered that's absolutely mind-blowing about Thursday through Sunday. A monster heat dome is parking over Britain, and when it stabilizes, all infrastructure systems are going to be tested. Reading and Slough, you're ground zero for this heat explosion that begins Wednesday afternoon and doesn't relent. European and British weather models are showing unprecedented agreement, which gives us terrifying confidence in these extreme predictions. Scenario 1 puts Leicester and Nottingham right in the most dangerous heat zone with temperatures exceeding human comfort limits. Scenario 2 extends this heat nightmare into Scotland, putting Glasgow and Edinburgh in unprecedented temperature territory. Sheffield and Bradford could experience the most dramatic health emergency imaginable, from moderate heat to life-threatening conditions. Newcastle and Sunderland, here's what you need to know. you could see either severe heat stress or dangerous air quality, so monitor constantly. For those in Liverpool and Preston, you're positioned dangerously. Prepare for whatever this heat dome unleashes, because it's approaching fast. Cardiff, Swansea, and Newport residents, prepare your cooling plans because Welsh valleys could become furnaces with trapped hot air. Now here's the part that's going to absolutely stun you about these temperature extremes we're forecasting. We're looking at the most sustained high-temperature event in modern British meteorological history. Some locations will experience 40 degrees Celsius plus temperatures for 5 consecutive days. That's not supposed to happen in maritime climates. This kind of heat persistence is what creates the health emergencies that overwhelm hospital systems completely. The heat dome is literally reshaping British weather patterns, creating conditions that haven't been seen in centuries. And here's what makes this even more incredible. The timing couldn't be worse for millions of British residents. This hits during peak summer when schools are closed and families are traveling, increasing heat exposure exponentially. London Transport, Manchester trams, and Birmingham buses should prepare for complete system stress and potential shutdowns. Motorways from the M25 to the M6 could become dangerous heat traps where vehicles overheat and air conditioning fails. Hospital systems across southern England are already preparing emergency protocols because heat-related emissions could overwhelm capacity. Energy companies are bracing for record electricity demand as millions simultaneously max out air conditioning and cooling systems. But wait, there's more, and this is where the forecast gets even more unbelievable and potentially lethal. Before I reveal what happens after day 5, tell me in the comments, what's your biggest heat concern for your family? I read every single comment and respond with specific cooling strategies for your neighborhood and housing situation. The latest heat modeling just revealed something that's making health officials across Britain issue emergency warnings. We're talking about a system that could simultaneously produce record heat and dangerous air quality degradation. Here's a critical question. How prepared is your home for potentially week-long extreme heat exposure? Milton Keynes and Luton are sitting in the most dangerous position possible, where urban heat and stagnant air will converge. Chelmsford and Colchester need to activate heat emergency protocols as this atmospheric furnace engulfs southeastern England. Even Scotland isn't safe. Aberdeen and Inverness could see their first ever heat warnings as this pattern extends northward. Here's what's absolutely fascinating about the meteorological setup we're observing across Britain right now. For a heat event covering such massive geographic area, this level of intensity persistence is almost unheard of. It's because the high-pressure system is so powerful and stationary that our normal cooling mechanisms are completely blocked. Are you understanding the danger here? For heat this intense, lasting this long, our infrastructure wasn't designed to cope. If you're wondering why cooling systems will fail, it's because sustained heat overwhelms equipment designed for occasional peaks. Here's what separates survival from catastrophe. Understanding when heat becomes a genuine medical emergency. If you work outdoors anywhere in southern Britain, cease operations immediately because rapid heat exhaustion could be deadly. Construction crews and road workers, here's your warning. Shut down daytime operations because heat stroke risk is extreme. Delivery drivers and postal workers, avoid peak heat hours entirely or face potentially life-threatening heat exposure. Emergency services across England should activate maximum alert protocols because heat-related calls will surge dramatically. This represents a multi-day health emergency that could overwhelm ambulance services in affected regions. Now here's something that's going to terrify you about what this heat means for vulnerable populations. If you haven't checked on elderly neighbors, do it right now. I want you to establish welfare check routines immediately. This isn't just uncomfortable weather. It's a complete threat to human life that will affect specific demographics disproportionately. We could be witnessing the deadliest heat event in British history if people don't take protective action immediately. The physiological stress from sustained 40 degrees Celsius plus heat is coming from atmospheric patterns we rarely see over Britain. Continental European heat sources are creating perfect conditions for human heat stress beyond normal British tolerance. Southampton and Winchester could experience dangerous overnight heat that prevents normal human recovery from daytime exposure. Bournemouth and Poole might see coastal heat amplification that makes beaches completely unsafe during peak hours. Exeter and Plymouth should prepare for unprecedented southwestern heat as high pressure blocks all cooling sea breezes. The health implications will persist long after temperatures drop, potentially affecting regional medical systems for weeks. This is exactly why you need professional heat safety guidance during extreme and dangerous weather patterns like this. Social media heat myths and amateur cooling advice create deadly confusion when millions of lives are genuinely at stake. The complexity of heat health requires years of medical and meteorological education to interpret and respond to correctly. Professional expertise becomes absolutely critical when temperature extremes exceed what British infrastructure was designed for. This is why I always emphasize following credible health authorities for information that could literally save your life. Drop your exact location in the comments right now if you want specific cooling strategies for your neighborhood during this emergency. I personally respond to location requests with detailed heat safety plans. The most requested location gets dedicated coverage tomorrow. But here's the crucial question I need you to answer. Are you taking this heat emergency seriously or hoping it won't affect you? Let me know your honest heat preparation level, because potentially deadly temperatures require immediate action. If this heat breakdown helped you understand the danger, smash that like button and subscribe immediately for life-saving updates. Your engagement helps us reach people who desperately need reliable heat safety information during extreme events like this. Hit that notification bell right now so you don't miss critical cooling advice during this potentially historic heat disaster. Ring the bell immediately, because when this heat hits maximum intensity, you'll need every update to protect your family. We're also launching our emergency heat monitoring network that will provide real-time temperature readings across danger zones. Check out our heat safety channel for continuous monitoring and live cooling center locations when official resources are overwhelmed. This network will be invaluable during events like this when normal cooling systems fail and emergency shelter becomes critical. Heat alerts and cooling center information are being updated constantly to help you stay safe during dangerous temperature spikes. The link is in the description below, and trust me, you'll absolutely need these resources during the coming heat catastrophe. This week, we'll test everything we know about surviving extreme heat as multiple dangerous systems affect Britain simultaneously. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and we'll monitor every dangerous temperature spike in this unprecedented heat pattern together. Remember, heat like this can become deadly within hours, so continuous monitoring from medical sources isn't helpful. It's essential for survival. One more time. Drop your exact location in the comments and tell me what cooling resources you have available. I'm waiting to help you survive what's coming to your exact area. Don't miss tomorrow's critical heat safety broadcast. Before we finish, let me address the life-threatening reality. Why this week's heat is so much deadlier than normal British summer weather. This combination of duration, intensity, and humidity creates human physiological stress that British bodies aren't adapted for. Most British heat events are either brief, moderate, or broken by cooling periods that allow human recovery from heat stress. This week delivers the deadly combination of sustained extreme heat with minimal nighttime cooling that overwhelms human adaptation. The meteorological setup includes stagnant air masses that trap pollution and prevent natural atmospheric cooling mechanisms. Humidity levels remain dangerously high, preventing normal human cooling through perspiration and creating heat index emergencies. Urban areas will experience heat island effects that add 5 to 8 degrees Celsius to already dangerous ambient temperatures throughout cities. Concrete, asphalt, and building materials will store daytime heat and release it overnight, preventing normal temperature recovery. And here's something most people don't realize about sustained heat. The cumulative physiological stress builds daily without relief. Day 1 feels manageable. Day 2 becomes uncomfortable. Day 3 starts affecting decision-making. Day 4 becomes dangerous. We're not talking about single-day heat exposure that people can endure. This is multi-day heat stress that requires medical awareness. The consistency of 40 degrees Celsius plus temperatures means human cooling systems never get recovery periods necessary for normal functioning. For families with children or elderly relatives, heat management becomes a 24-hour medical monitoring responsibility. The compounding effects of heat stress mean that preparation strategies must account for declining human performance over time. Air conditioning systems not designed for sustained British heat may fail exactly when people need them most desperately. Electrical grids could experience rolling blackouts as cooling demand exceeds infrastructure capacity during peak heat hours. Water supplies might face pressure drops as demand for cooling and hydration exceeds normal distribution system capacity. Now let's talk about something crucial that mainstream weather sources won't mention: the psychological impact of extreme heat. Sustained temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius affect human cognitive function, decision-making ability, and emotional regulation capacity. This heat event will create community stress that goes beyond physical discomfort into genuine behavioral health challenges. There's documented evidence linking extreme heat to increased aggression, domestic disturbances, and mental health crises. Children and teenagers may experience difficulty sleeping, concentration problems, and emotional volatility during sustained heat. Adults working in non-air-conditioned environments face declining productivity and increasing safety risks from heat-impaired judgment. This creates cascading social effects beyond the immediate medical dangers of heat exposure itself. For communities unaccustomed to extreme heat, social support systems become critical for collective survival and well-being. Checking on neighbors isn't just kindness during this event. It's essential community resilience against heat-related emergencies. Emergency services will face unprecedented call volumes for heat-related medical emergencies and domestic disturbances simultaneously. Public cooling centers will become essential community infrastructure that many British towns have never needed to operate before. Here's your essential action plan for surviving this heat emergency. And this is where preparation becomes literal life protection. First, establish cooling zones in your home now. Identify the coolest rooms and prepare them for extended occupation. Create cross-ventilation systems using fans to move air through living spaces during the few cooler overnight hours. Prepare hydration schedules for every family member because heat stress affects fluid needs beyond normal thirst responses. Stock electrolyte replacement supplies because sweating in extreme heat depletes essential minerals rapidly and dangerously. Plan heat emergency evacuation routes to public cooling centers because home cooling systems may fail unexpectedly. Coordinate with neighbors to create heat buddy systems for checking on vulnerable community members throughout the crisis. Adjust medication storage because extreme heat affects pharmaceutical stability and effectiveness dramatically. Consider tomorrow's work and travel as potentially life-threatening activities that require extreme modification or cancellation. Prepare cooling supplies for pets because domestic animals face the same heat stress dangers as humans. Most importantly, accept that normal routines become impossible and dangerous when heat exceeds human physiological limits. This is what makes British heat culture so dangerous: our collective inexperience with temperatures that can kill. The shared experience of surviving extreme heat creates community bonds, but also exposes our infrastructure vulnerabilities completely. We're all learning together how to exist in temperatures that Britain was never designed to handle safely. Regional differences in cooling resources will create heat equity issues between different areas and social classes. Urban areas with better cooling infrastructure may become heat refuges, while rural areas face dangerous isolation. Coastal regions might offer some relief, while inland areas experience the full intensity of continental heat dome effects. Mountain regions and higher elevations could provide crucial cooling zones for people able to access them safely. Public transportation systems may become either cooling refuges or dangerous heat traps, depending on air conditioning capacity. Before I sign off, let me give you one final piece of advice that will maximize your survival of this heat emergency. Don't just endure this heat, actively manage it with medical precision because your life may literally depend on proper heat response. Extreme heat like this reminds us that despite technology and air conditioning, we're still vulnerable to atmospheric extremes. Take time to recognize heat warning signs in yourself and others, because heat stress symptoms develop gradually, then accelerate rapidly. Pay attention to how heat changes behavior. Irritability, confusion, and poor judgment are early heat emergency indicators. Notice how heat affects basic functions. Sleep disruption, appetite changes, and concentration problems signal heat stress. These physiological responses are your body warning you that heat exposure is approaching dangerous levels, requiring immediate action. Share heat survival strategies with others because collective heat safety knowledge strengthens entire community resilience. Help vulnerable neighbors who may lack cooling resources because heat emergencies often require community-wide mutual aid responses. Document this heat event for future reference because climate patterns suggest extreme heat will become increasingly common. And remember that this heat connects you to billions of people worldwide learning to survive in our changing climate. This is bigger than just weather. It's adaptation to the reality of extreme heat becoming part of British summers. So prepare medically, plan strategically, and recognize that surviving heat like this requires treating it as the emergency it is. I'll be monitoring every degree of this heat emergency and sharing survival updates as this dangerous pattern intensifies. Until tomorrow's heat safety coverage, prioritize cooling and hydration above everything else during Britain's most dangerous heat event. Thank you for taking this heat emergency seriously, and I'll see you tomorrow when we assess exactly how Britain is coping under extreme temperatures.